Hello and welcome to Todd Talk, where insight meets inspiration. I'm your host, Todd Hiller, and I'm an author, speaker, and longtime community leader, here to guide you on a journey towards fulfillment and balance. In every episode, we'll explore ways to fill life's emptiness, helping you uncover practical tools to create harmony, purpose, and happiness. Whether it's thriving in your career, nurturing personal growth, or simply finding joy in the everyday, Todd Talk is your space for real conversations and actionable advice. So let's thrive together, personally, professionally, and beyond. This is Todd Talk, and I'm thrilled to have you here.
Today, I want to encourage you to do something that all the productivity experts would probably disagree with. I'm going to encourage you to ignore your responsibilities, but only for a little while, and for a very good reason. So I know the title of this is pretty tongue-in-cheek. I know the title of the episode is a little bit funny, a little bit tongue-in-cheek, but here's the reason. We live in a culture that celebrates constant productivity. And I'm not saying that productivity is bad, not by any stretch of the imagination. I love feeling productive. I was just talking to a very good friend of mine the other day about how sometimes I love working by myself, just getting some alone time to power through some things, do things the way I want to, no excuses, no, hey, let's do it this way, just fingers, to the task, hands to the task, using some good old-fashioned elbow grease, head down, working hard, doing your thing. And it feels really good to do that sometimes, especially by yourself. But as much as we celebrate constant productivity sometimes, there is also a really important lesson to learn that we feel guilty if we aren't constantly checking off tasks. And that can be really dangerous. And the reason it's really important is because sometimes the most meaningful moments in life happen when we pause the checklist. Not every moment in life needs to be productive. Remember that, please. Some moments just, to me, need to be lived. Hands down. It sounds so simple, but some moments just need to be lived and leaned into and enjoyed and cherished. So today, we were at the Sap House, our maple syrup shack where we make our maple syrup. And we were doing all the things. We had the fire going and we were getting ready to make syrup, and we were kind of trying to figure out the timing. And my son was like, hey, can we go explore a little bit? And I was like, yeah. So where we make our maple syrup is literally at the base of a mountain, which is up in the woods a ways from my dad's house at the farm. So I was waiting for the syrup to be ready to draw off, and I wanted to help and be there to help, but my dad was there, my stepdad was there, we had some help, so things were okay. I knew I wasn't leaving them high and dry. I would have liked to be there, but I'm like, And so I said, well, let's go, buddy, let's go for a little walk to explore. So we started this little walk, and I figured in 10 minutes we would turn around because he would get bored or want to go do something else, because, sometimes 9-year-olds are like that. And all of a sudden it turned into a little bit more of a walk, and a little bit more of a walk, and a little bit more of a walk. And, this internal debate happened with me, like, well, do I keep walking further and further away from my task at the Sap House, literally further and further away, because we have syrup to draw off, I have stuff to do, or do I just go for a walk with my son? Now, the answer is, in this instance, please always go for the walk with your children. They will never be as young as they are right now ever again. You will never get these minutes back. And I know it sounds cliche, but the reason it sounds so cliche is because it's so true. They will never be as young as they are right now. They will never be the age they are right now. They will never have this level of curiosity and wonder and want to spend time with you the way they do now. So I started thinking, well, how long will it take? What if my dad and my stepdad need help? What if I miss something? What if something goes wrong? What if? And I had piled up this mountain of what ifs, and I was very happy all of a sudden to say, you know what? I just kicked it over. That big mountain of what ifs, I just kicked it over and said, I'm going. I'm going for a walk. It's okay. We will get where we're going. The syrup will get made. Everything will be okay. I promise. And in the grand scheme of things, I'm not always there. My dad's been making maple syrup there since 1980. So he started helping my great-grandfather before that. My great-grandfather started making syrup 100 years ago on that piece of property. So it's not like I was the only one who knew what I was doing. But what I realized was when I made this decision after the mental tug of war kind of ended was that there were other capable people there. The work would still get done, but this moment with my son might not come again. It was a weekend day. It was a Sunday. It was early in the day. We had plenty of daylight. A lot of times we make maple syrup at the end of the day after everybody's done with work and after school is over. and we're up there at night. Which, could I walk up the mountain at night? Yes, I've done it before. But is it as much fun? Is it as easy? No, it's rocky and hilly, and there's fallen sticks and trees and branches and still some snow. So walking up there at night isn't the best idea. So we had the time, we had the energy, we had this moment that was created with all these special circumstances, right? We had the time, the energy, the effort, the daylight. We had help in the sap house. I wasn't up there all by myself. So I said, here we go. We're going for a walk. So off we went, and we started to wander and literally just climb up the mountain. And that's not a figurative thing that I'm using now. Like, it is literally a mountain that we started to climb up. And the more we climbed, the excitement and the anticipation started to build. My 9-year-old son, to him, these big giant boulders and these big pieces of ledge that I've been climbing up since I was even younger than he is, to me, they're just big rocks, and they are big. I mean, like, some of them are the size of a pickup truck and some of them are the size of a house. But as we stood on top of these big giant pieces of glacial rock and ledge, he was in awe and wonder of, like, Dad, look how high we are, look how far we can see. And so we just kept going. And eventually we got all the way to the top, and we got to this one plateau that we called it, his lookout that we called it. And he was so excited, and he had so much joy and so much pride because, one, he had literally just climbed a mountain. And for a 9-year-old, that's a pretty big deal. And two, when we got up to the top, he was like, take some pictures, bro, please. Like, look at how cool this is. So we took some pictures. We took some selfies. We found a tree with some initials carved in it, and we made a little mark to show that we were there too. And like all these things, I was like, I am so glad I didn't miss this. And, it was such an emotional, like, joyful, happy moment. I was so excited and so happy that I did this. And I thought, man, how foolish and how dumb would I have been if I didn't do this instead of, well, buddy, we got to stay here because I have to try to make some maple syrup. Like, I would have missed out not just on the physical walk with my son, but on so many other things, on his excitement and his wonder and his, oh my God, look at this. And oh my God, I mean, we found a cave in the rocks, true, honest to goodness cave. We found trees that were literally growing out of the tops of these giant rocks. And we had conversations about, like, how this tree, he's like, how on earth did this tree get so big? Like, it's growing on top of a rock. But I'm like, well, there's this little layer of dirt from years and years of, just dirt and dust and stuff blowing through the air and, animals tracking dirt across the rock, that this little 1/4-inch deep layer of soil is all roots from side to side. And it's been enough to support this little tiny sapling growing. So all those things, man, I can't tell you how glad I am that I didn't miss it, because the syrup would still get made if I was there or if I wasn't. But my son would never have that moment again. He'd never be that age. He'd never have that amount of wonder and energy and like excitement to be like, Dad, let's go. Let's just keep going. Let's go higher. Let's go higher. So, and the mountain wasn't going anywhere. But childhood is, the childhood for my son is going to go so fast, and my daughter's even older than him, and it goes so quickly. And again, it sounds cliche, but it sounds cliche because it's true. Time goes faster and faster, and it's the more years go by, it seems like the quicker they go. And that mountain has been there for millennia, and it's going to stay there. But the time that I have to walk up it with my son is going to start changing and dwindling. He's going to get older. We're going to get busier. Someday I'm going to get older. I used to walk up there with my dad, and now my dad can't walk up there anymore, and I walk with my son. So all these things that kind of piled into my brain when I did this made me so happy that we went for that walk. And so it really got me thinking that we adults so often carry the invisible weight of responsibility. And I think to some degrees, it's kind of the lie of constant responsibility. We convince ourselves, well, I should stay. They might need me. I can't step away. I can't take a day off. I have to stay at work. I have to do the thing. I have to be here to help. I have to, I need to, I should. But the truth is, the work will continue, whether you're there or not. Other people can help if you're a control freak, and maybe I am a little bit of a control freak, but let go of that control a little bit. Other people can do stuff. Other people can help. The world does not collapse if we pause for a moment. If there's a phrase I remember so vividly from when I first started working and I was so worried, in one of my jobs that I had when I was younger to take a day off. Someone told me, if you die or quit tomorrow, they will replace you almost immediately. Take the day off. I promise they will survive without you. And it really stuck with me because it's true, but I think often we pile this invisible weight of responsibility on ourselves and we think that we can't do that. We can't take the time to do the things that we enjoy, and we can't take time to do the things that might not come around again. And listen, please understand me when I say this. This is especially true for people who take pride in being dependable. And hello, if you've met me, hi, I'm Todd Hiller. My hand is high in the air. I'm a helper with a servant's heart who likes being dependable and loyal and hardworking and all the things. However, if you identify with that like I do, it's okay, right? I understand there is a lot of pride in being dependable, but responsibility is a virtue. But when it owns every minute of your life, it stops being a virtue and it starts being a burden. When it takes over every inch and every aspect of the days you have laid out in front of you, then you have no sense of balance whatsoever. And balance matters. And responsibilities matter. But so do relationships, and so do memories, and so does joy, and so does presence in the moment and being there to soak up the things and do the things and take the walks and smell the flowers and take the pictures and all the things on the list. And I think responsibilities build a life, but moments make it worth living. You know, we all have to have responsibilities. We all have to have jobs and tasks and things to focus on. One of the most beautiful things I've ever heard was that the pursuit of difficult things is what makes life an adventure. And it's true. When we pursue difficult things and when we set out to do difficult things, we not only have this sense of adventure, but we have this sense of difficulty. And yes, sometimes it's annoying and sometimes it's a pain and sometimes we feel like it's going to be a never-ending day from heck. But when we conquer the mountain, when we climb the mountain, no pun intended in this episode specifically, but when we complete the task, when we check the box, and we finish what we started, we have said, yes, we got our responsibilities taken care of, and it makes us feel good. But the moments that we have in our life are what make it worth living, because if all we had was responsibility, there would be no emotional side to ever carry us through the fun and the happy and the things that make us smile and make our hearts swell. And these moments matter because sometimes, even if you recreate something, the moment you have in your life will never come around again. Not in that same sense, not in that same way. You can try to recreate it, but it won't always be the same. Even the recreation isn't the same as the original thing. You know, and this walk with my son today, it wasn't a trip. It wasn't a vacation. It wasn't a life event. It wasn't this huge thing that we scheduled and booked some plane tickets to go on. It was simply a walk up a mountain behind my dad's house on our family farm. But to my son, it was a huge adventure. He's still talking about it. We took this walk hours ago, and he's still talking about it. And for me, it became, it was still an adventure, but I'd walked up the mountain before, so it wasn't as much of an adventure for me as it was for my son. But for me, it became a memory I will carry forever. It is now a core memory for me and my son, and those are so beautiful and so precious because we'll always remember, we'll always talk about it. It can always be a reference point in our lives. And, small decisions often shape the memories our kids remember forever. Sometimes it's the littlest things that we do and the smallest things that we think as adults are really no big deal, but to our kids, they make all the difference in the world, and that's what they remember, and they're like, oh my God, this is amazing. Because I have learned in my years as a parent so far that kids don't remember emails and chores and work tasks and things they have to do, but they will remember adventures. They will remember walks. They will remember laughter. They will remember time together. They will remember the times that you guys laughed until you cried, the time that you got horribly lost driving somewhere and had to drive around in circles. They will remember the time you went up a mountain, literally, as today, we're talking about. They'll remember the time that you went to a restaurant and waited for hours on end, and then they got your food wrong, and it was a nightmare of a trip and a terrible restaurant experience, but a family experience. It was top-notch because you'll all remember and laugh about it for a long, long time. And I think children spell love with 4 letters, but they're not always L-O-V-E. A lot of times they're T-I-M-E. Our kids love time. Our kids love time spent with us, with their parents, with the people in their lives that they look up to. So please, I encourage you to take the time to do that. And I want to emphasize these small moments refill our emotional tank so much. You guys know that I speak about and podcast about and coach about burnout and burnout recovery and personal wellness and all this stuff. If you need a way to refill your emotional tank and to bring yourself to a spot where you feel happy and energized and fulfilled and able to take on the things that are laid out in front of you for the next day or week or month, take the time to do something with your kids or with someone close to you or your family members or some loved ones or your spouse or whoever it is, because they remind us why we work so hard in the first place. Most of us are working so we can pay bills and so we can have a nice life and so we can go on vacation and so we can give our kids a good life if you're a parent, or give our spouse or a brother or sisters or our parents a good life. And all that is great and all that matters. I love being a provider for my whole family, and I want to be an abundant provider for my family and the people in my life. Like, I would love to just send my friends money and give them these giant gifts. And I love providing for them. But one of the things I have realized is that the reason we work so hard in the first place is to make sure that we can have the time and energy to do those really memorable, fun things. And I think sometimes the best thing you can do for your responsibilities is to step away and ignore them for a little while. And I want to invite you now. So this is my invitation to the audience, to all you listening. I have a question. When was the last time you stepped away from your responsibilities on purpose? Not because you got sick, not because you got the flu, not because one of your kids came down with a head cold and you had to pick them up from school and you couldn't work all day, not because your spouse needed help and you said, oh, I have to help this person do this. But when was the last time you stepped away from your responsibilities on purpose? When was the last time you set them down and said, you know what, I'm going to choose joy instead of obligation? When was the last time you did that? And I encourage you to look for small windows of opportunity to do that, because it doesn't require a huge life change. The walk I took today with my son, it didn't take 6 or 8 hours. It didn't take 3 days. It didn't take an entire long weekend. It took a little while, but it was something beautiful that we did together. Because sometimes it's not the huge life change. Sometimes it's a walk, a conversation, playing with your kids, sitting on the porch, watching a sunset, drinking coffee with your favorite person in a little cabin in the mountains and watching the sunrise or sunset and listening to the birds wake up for the day. Sometimes those things are the most beautiful and the most memorable and the things we want and hope for. And I know some folks are probably thinking, but I have so much to do. I have all these responsibilities. I have X number of kids, and I have 3 jobs, and I have a spouse, and I have a car payment to make, and I have to do this and this and this. And I understand. I hear you and I understand. I am no stranger to more than one job and no stranger to hard work. I understand. I hear you. I see you. I feel you. I hear you. I see you. I feel you. I promise. I'm right there with you. But I want to encourage you to remember that you don't have to abandon your responsibilities. Every once in a while, you're allowed to loosen their grip, though. Every once in a while, you're allowed to say, hey, bro, hey, responsibilities, back off me for a minute. Let go, loosen up. Loosen up, let go. I've got other things to do. You know, this week, here's my little challenge for you. This week, when you have a choice between one more task and one meaningful moment, try choosing the moment. When you have that choice between, oh, do I do one more thing? Do I answer one more email? Or do I say my workday's been over for more than an hour already? I'm going to log off now and go outside and play catch with my kid. I'm going to go outside and take my daughter for ice cream. I'm going to take my daughter to the mall. I'm going to go do all the things, take my son outside and shoot hoops or play volleyball or take him for a walk or take him to 7-Eleven to grab something to drink and a snack, whatever it is. When you have that choice, between one more task and one meaningful moment, choose the moment. Because the tasks will be there forever. The tasks will never, ever go away, I promise. Even people who are super wealthy and don't have to work full-time and are independently wealthy, they still have tasks to do every day. They'll still be there. Whether you're rich and famous or whether you're not rich and famous, it doesn't matter. The tasks will never go away. They will be there forever. So sometimes put the task on a back burner and choose the moment instead. And as we close, I want to just kind of wrap up and talk again, circle back to the walk. I went for a walk on purpose. Do you want to know the coolest part? Even after this adventure, we got back to the sap house. The maple syrup got made. The filter got made. The syrup got drawn off. Everything went fine. It was all ducky. It was good to go. As a matter of fact, I got there right as they were about to start the drawing off process. So I didn't miss it. So now think about how much I would have missed out on if I just stood around literally waiting for it to be time to draw the syrup off. I would have missed out on the walk and all that time with my son, but everything worked out. And even if I hadn't made it back in time, the syrup would have still gotten made. My dad and my stepfather would have taken care of it. I know they would have. But now that I went for the walk, I have this memory with my son that will last forever. It'll last forever. No one can take it away from me. It's not like I'm sitting here saying, boy, my son wanted to go for a walk the other day and we didn't do it. We went for a walk for a couple minutes and just kind of walked in the woods and then turned around and I got back because I was worried about making maple syrup and I just sat there and waited for another hour and eventually we made the syrup so everything was okay. Instead, I have this beautiful story. And I have this beautiful core memory that I get to keep forever, and my son gets to keep forever, and we can reference back. And you know what? I bet if we have a chance to do it again, he's going to want to go up there again. And maybe this time he wants to bring his sister, or maybe this time he wants to go in a different direction. We've got a lot of acres to explore. Maybe this time he wants to go do something else and find another adventure, find another spot, another cave, another giant tree. But he wants to go up there now because he has a taste for it, and I love that because I didn't skip it. I didn't say, nobody, I have something to take care of down here, I'm sorry. I set my responsibilities aside, asked for help. That's another big thing. We can do an entire episode on that too, of asking for help when you need help. There's a lot of us out there, myself included, sometimes we just say, I'll do it myself because it's just easier. But as we wind down and walk away, the work will always be waiting. 100%. If you've ever had a job or done a task or had a to-do list, the work will always be waiting. But childhood and joy and moments with the people we love, they won't always be waiting. Someday they're going to go away. And it sounds super sad to say it that way, but it's the truth. We won't always have these things to pursue and to chase because sometimes it's going to be a little different. Sometimes things aren't going to be exactly the same. So take the time to set your responsibilities aside. Take the time to realize that sometimes the most responsible thing you can do is ignore your responsibilities, at least for a little while. My friends, thank you so much for listening. I hope you have enjoyed this episode. If you feel like it resonates with you and might resonate with someone else that is close to you, please share this episode with them. If you'd like to follow along with me on social media, I am at Todd W. Hiller on Instagram as well as TikTok. You can come find me over there. Follow along with the podcast, and so you don't miss any episodes or updates. Come jump online with me in social media. I do some lives from time to time, and I also have an Instagram chat channel that I have started up to give you just some positivity throughout your days. So come follow along with me. I promise it'll be a good time. Wherever you are in the world, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for listening and for spending your time with me. Have a fantastic rest of your day, and please know that I appreciate you. Be well. Thanks for tuning in to Todd Talk. If you've liked what you've heard, please go ahead and subscribe and follow along so you don't miss any updates or new episodes. Thanks very much and enjoy the rest of your day.